yet. Here we are. Okay, yeah, so it's actually giving us a preview, which is good. And we'll put it to us here. And it's 9 AM anyway, so I think we're live because it goes on automatically, doesn't it? Are we live, guys? And can you hear us okay? And Kate, can you do a 1, 2, 3 check as well?
1, 2, 3 check from Kate.
Hey, g'day Tony. Hey mate, can you hear us? There's Tony there from Simplify Gardening. Hello, how's the voice coming across? Okay, we can hear you. And you can hear Kate?
Hi Tony.
Okay, cool. All right. I am absolutely sweating a river here. I mean, you might not be able to see it on camera, but maybe if I come up close, we've got a delay on ours, so it's a bit freakish when you're going live because I'm seeing myself in the future, sort of thing. But yeah, you can see my face. It's just so humid here at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's been one of the hottest summers on record, hasn't it, Kate?
It's the hottest and wettest summers. This should have been La Nina. I think we were told no rain, it's going to be really dry, and I don't know, I think I've spent probably the last month looking very dewy, which is probably good for 56-year-old skin, dewy, but I tell you what, roll on some winter. Those of you who are having some cold patches now, you are very, very lucky.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm here with Kate Diprima. She's a nutritionist, dietitian, has been for 30 years and been a friend of ours for about that time as well. So yeah, I've known Kate for a long time and I love having her in on these types of chats, which is about, are fruits really good for us? Are modern fruits good for us? The thing is, there's been some insinuations to say that modern fruit is not that good for us. And with Kate, with all her knowledge, and I also have my theories and stuff, but it's nice to have Kate here to kind of bounce things off and ask someone that's a professional in the field who's been doing this for so long, what's her opinion on it. Now, I'll just set up a little bit more. I've got a table here full of fruits that I've just collected this morning. We've got a helicopter starting to come over now, which is just perfect timing. Hey, maybe they're watching our live stream and doing this on purpose, but I've got this collection of fruits that I've collected up, and I'm going to ask Kate about what she thinks about the nutritional qualities of it. We've got bananas that I've just freshly picked. They just ripened right for today. They could probably do one more day, but these come straight off the plant. I've got to harvest the bunch later today before the critters start to smell it and go crazy and get into them. But they have them bagged and protected, so we're able to ripen them on the plant. But we're going to talk about bananas, where they come from, what's the nutritional value of them. I've just picked this pineapple this morning. We've got some pecans that are half eaten by the cockatoos that I've just got here just to show. I've got an old lemon, or a citron they call it, one of the very first citrus fruits that all the rest of these are developed from. And I've got a pomelo. This is a little one, looks like a grapefruit. And that is also an ancient type of citrus that all the rest are derived from, plus these native limes here that, well, are native and go back thousands of years, probably 40,000 years, when the indigenous people were here eating them for their vitamin C fix. I've got other types of citrus and also a dragon fruit, and one of the very first dragon fruit for varieties that is known, and this one has the thorns on it. That's why I've got to hold it at the moment with these tongs, because these are very dangerous and they hurt when they stick into you. But I will talk about that as well. And also, of course, we've got the old olive branch that I'm going to give out to you guys, especially those who hated on me for the carnivore one, who told
and
me
hated on me.
and
Oh
hated
my
on-
gosh. I
told
know.
us to stay in our lane.
Yep.
Well, I'm afraid we've just
We pivot. We pivot.
Yeah,
And
we're in our Ferrari and we're going to go on whichever lane we want. Okay? But anyway, there's an olive branch. I understand it's got different ideas and different diets. And some people are allergic to veggies and all that type of thing. I'm not hating on those people. That's all cool. So,
yeah. And I guess what you've said there before, Mark, is what I'm giving today is my opinion. Absolutely my opinion. And I guess just, learning from other people's comments, etc. I think as a professional, I listen to what clients come in and say to me. They'll say, do you know what, when I eat chickpeas, red kidney beans, lentils, etc., I get really sick, or I get really windy, or I'm doubled over, I can't go to work. Now that's not in someone's mind, that's how they feel. And they're people who have IBS. Now the same thing, I think there were some people who said, look, taking veggies out of my diet changed my life. If it changes your life, that is absolutely fantastic. I think as a healthcare provider and also medicos and things, we have to listen to people's symptoms, etc. But I guess my opinion is also one that I do a lot of like disappearing down rabbit warrens and doing some research and finding out what's actually out there. And I deal with a lot of people with like allergies and intolerances of things. And so some of these fruits and some vegetables, especially, and salads, do have different chemicals, do have different like nightshades, lectins, amines, salicylates, glutamates. It's a big minefield of certain chemicals and certain particles in foods that can affect people. So, take things out of your diet if you feel that they're actually making you feel unwell. Challenge yourself with it, and if you feel better without it, that's great. But here today, I just love the fact that I've turned up here at Mark's place and I could not pick this from my garden because I don't have this kind of thing. So I think it's just so cool that these things are just growing prolifically in his garden, and many of them we probably find, that you have over 10, 15 years, your pineapples have changed, and your, pomelos, lemons, limes and things have probably changed because of, pollination differences and the little bee going about its business to do what it was actually designed for. So, yeah.
yeah, it seems like I've got a mic problem. So the mine's low and yours is hopefully not too loud.
Oh God, the Italian voice has got to stop then. Maybe we should swap because I'm really loud and yours. So do you want to just do a quick swap? Because
no, I think we leave it as is. I might turn this one on and off. It is on, but I'm not sure why it's showing here that it's fine. But you speak in yours.
hello everyone, this is Blabbermouth Kate.
yeah, yours is a bit higher than mine.
So maybe I'll just speak a little quieter.
No, well, it's my problem, I think. I think people can't hear me. Is that right?
Well, you're the
Still
star
not
of the show,
working.
so...
Yeah, still not working. Hers is perfect.
I think-
But you're quiet.
I think we should swap because you're doing most of the talking. So, sorry guys, I'll be really quick.
No, wait. Let's see if I can turn this on and off and see if we can get this working. This has an automatic thing. Oh, there it is.
Do you know, our IT department just couldn't be here this morning, guys. That's us.
This is live for you. It always happens. Hey, does it work if I do this and we just talk together?
At least you can hear the absolute ambience and native bush birds. It's gorgeous. I come from the distance between my house and the next house is like about 1 metre, and I come out here and it's just like being on a retreat. So it's actually nice not to hear very much.
Yeah, we'll get this fixed next time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
Italian.
let's just work off this. Maybe if I even put that won't sit like that.
I'll hold it.
Maybe
Yeah.
All right, we'll try that. We'll try that then. So we've had a technical fault.
I'll pick up the other ones.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Okay. How does that sound now then? And Kate, you have a bit of a talk?
Yep. You can still hear me, everybody?
Oh, it's just crazy at the moment. This was all going perfectly when I tested it yesterday.
It might be, as you say, the moisture in the air, the IT side of things.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear Mark?
Perfect, great, yes, much better.
Wonderful. There you go.
Okay, you hear both. Rightio. Well, that one must be buggered for some reason. So I reiterate anyway, we've got a collection of fruit here. We'll go through them all. And I just want to get Kate's opinion as well as I'm going to give mine on, are these modern types of fruits any good? And I've deliberately picked or selected this morning some of the things that are fairly ancient. And I know they're ancient. Olives, for example. We don't have a lot of olives. It's one of the problems with trying to grow olives in a subtropical climate. You can see the olive trees everywhere. I can even swap over. Here we are. There's the camera up there. You can see we've got a lot of olive trees. They're big, they're growing fantastic. But the problem is they don't produce fruit because it doesn't get cold enough through the winter time here to get that chill factor to produce a lot of fruit. Now olives don't love it freezing either, but they'll grow really well in a hot subtropical climate, but they just won't fruit as good. So this season we hardly got enough to fill half a jar, so it wasn't even worth brining them.
Oh, wow.
Even if I could get 1 jar or a kilo, I usually brine them.
Yes.
But anyway, I've got these here as an example, along with the old style of dragon fruit with the thorns still over it. If you know dragon fruit, you'll be aware of the nice big shiny red ones in the stores and the purple ones. And those ones there have been cross-bred. And then we've got pineapple and bananas used to have seeds in them and all that. And we'll talk all about these types of fruits in particular. And Kate, you're also going to touch a bit on GMO because it sort of comes into this argument. If GMO foods, maybe not as many fruits, but that is a different story, I think.
Yeah.
You can elaborate. Might as well just touch on that now.
Yeah, look, I guess I get a lot of people who say, look, I don't want to touch anything GMO or genetically modified. So genetic modification is going right into the DNA, the gene sort of coding of that particular item of food. Now, the difference between GMO and kind of hybrid or cross-pollination is cross-pollination happens naturally. It happens naturally in gardens. It happens naturally sort of in commercial properties as well. The lovely bee. The bee is a very, very good cross-pollinator. So is wind, other insects, and man. Man actually helps to sort of speed these things up. I was having a really good read at the beginning of the week, how you can actually cross-pollinate. You peel the flower back and you go right into the stamen. And I am not one of these people, so I might be getting it a bit wrong. But I think there's something called the pistil, and you have to then take sort of some of the pollen from one and then stick it on the top of the pistil, then wrap it up again so it doesn't actually get naturally pollinated. And then you can change like that. You could cause a hybrid. So things like, and I know I'm not all over this. I'm no food technologist. I'm a dietitian, all about food and what's in the food. But something like a nashi is actually a pear and an apple. And I've been buying nashis for years and years for my kids' lunchboxes and things. And they just taste, they've got the crunch of the apple, but then they've got the sweetness and the kind of the pith inside is a bit softer of the pear. Now, I've looked into like the nutritional quality, and there are so many different websites and so many different scientific papers that essentially say it's about the same because fruit provides fibre, vitamin C, and a lovely carbohydrate source as well. So you probably get a few nuances of B group vitamins and things, but essentially those they may just be a bigger number produced for commercial industry, or it might be a little bit naturally resistant to certain types of pests, but it certainly hasn't been genetically modified. Genetic modification for industry is when they splice in a little bit of a pesticide, DNA into the DNA of the food, which means that food, fruit, vegetable, whatever, becomes more resistant to that particular sometimes there can be a very negative health outcome with some of the genetic modifications. So, you know,
Yeah, I don't know. We don't really know. I'm not confident that I've read enough to convince me that genetically changing the DNA of our food is a good thing. I think the humans, just in a logical sense, we're used to eating things that are from nature, and yes, hybriding, that can happen naturally in nature too.
Yep.
So that's not a big drama. I don't see a drama in hybrids, except you can't keep the seed if you're using veggies or fruit. You'll get something different when you plant it. Whereas an heirloom, you know, you plant that seed from it and you're going to get the same plant, but that's a different thing. I'm more thinking about the nutritional value, and could GMOs do harm to us? I'm not convinced that it doesn't at this stage. We've got a nashi pear behind us here. This is a nashi pear here.
And so did you actually buy that as a nashi pear seedling?
Yeah, sapling, yeah. It was just a small tree. The problem with it is the fruit fly love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock its head clean off, and then I'm going to keep it really small so I can net it properly, because the fruit is absolutely beautiful, and they actually grow really quickly, and they're one of our prized fruits in the orchard.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was a good explanation of how they're crossed between a pear and an apple, you say?
Yeah, I think it's a pear and an apple.
Yeah,
I think that's nashi, I'm sure, because it's got a softer skin, which is easy to bite into. And a lot of my clients say, oh, can I peel these things because I find it very hard to chew and digest the fibre in there, whereas it's a lovely soft skin. So that's kind of a positive out of a hybrid or melding two things together. You can eat the skin as well as, you know, enjoy the actual fruit, which is it's sweeter than an apple, you know.
So bananas, they originally were a lot smaller than this, and this is a
What is this
well,
one?
I think it's a red Ducati, but it's not red because it's ripe. But I'm actually not sure if it's a normal one, a normal ladyfinger banana, red Ducati, or the blue one, which is I just can't think of the name of it on the spot, but because they just grew like crazy down the back there when I replaced all our big, hard to get to banana trees that had to climb up a big ladder. I changed them with all these dwarf varieties, and now they're finally starting to produce fruit. And it's so easy to bag the fruit because you just stand there and put the bag over. You don't have to climb up a ladder.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, they used to be these bananas have a whole heap of seeds in them, and you'd have to, the original ones.
Right.
And now they don't have any real seeds in them. There might be some tiny specks in the centre, but that's about it.
Like, you know, they're a bit manky on the outside, but
Yeah, that's just normal, sort of. That's just normal for homegrown bananas. Have a taste of that one, because that's the best one.
There are 70 different varieties in my understanding of bananas, but we've only got 2 that are actually native to Australia. So again, we've got Cavendish ladyfinger. These are sort of more squatty, but
I've already taken a bite out of this one because I couldn't help myself. I'm like a fruit bat, drawn to fruit.
oh, that's beautiful. Very, very nice. And
You can't get better than ripen on the plant.
oh, it's really, really creamy, and it doesn't have that furry, starchy. So how easy were these to grow?
Oh, really easy.
Well, the thing about bananas, most people and everyone I know sort of says, oh, look, I take them for potassium. Potassium is one of your electrolytes. Sodium and potassium helps to just balance your fluid in your body. They're the electrolytes that help to run the heart as well. So rich in potassium, but also a lovely complex carbohydrate. Great for, you know, anyone who's doing some sort of sport, you know, beforehand, swimming, running, etc. Having one of these is really terrific. Great fibre, and just tastes very nice. And it obviously has a resilience in its skin too, in lunch boxes or your brown baggers taking to work as well. But you know, I think that somewhere along the line there's been all these new varieties which have been cross-pollinated to, you know, produce these fantastic ones without seeds, a little bit more resilient, and just tasty, really tasty.
So they're still having problems hearing us with this mic. Must be too direct.
Yeah.
So we have to get closer, and if you don't mind. I've got my BO on. Yeah, so what do you think about the nutrition then from the old ones that had seeds in them to the ones that now are really plump and fat and are extra juicy? Is there much of a difference in nutrition, and is there anything we should be careful of?
From the reading that I've done, and again, I'm no food technologist here, and I'm sure if anyone's out there who is a technologist and who wants to chime in, please. Bananas are more, you know, people like young children and the elderly and ones that we're trying to get some good nourishment in. These are a lot more popular, but they're bigger. So you've got more potassium, more fibre, more carbohydrate in a small volume because of the hybrid or the pollination and producing different varieties.
Right. Okay. So I'm getting some mixed comments through here. Some people saying they can hear us, and others are saying that they can't.
Oh.
Is that right? Sound is perfect now, apparently.
All right.
Okay, so maybe it's dropping in and out, but I'll keep an eye on the comments. It's a bit difficult to go backwards and forwards, but you know, that's just the way it is. I'm not going to get too flustered. I know someone said protect your reputation and cut it now or something.
Oh, ouch.
Whoa, gee. Oh, crikey.
Crikey.
Crikey. Punching through.
Yes.
I mean, if people drop off, they drop off. I mean, I understand that. But let's now have a look at this dragon fruit here. You can see it's got the spines over it. So this one here is one of the original dragon fruits, and they probably all started with spines, and then they've crossbred them, hybrid them, and they've come out with different colours and ones that are spineless, unlike me. And
yes,
and
you're a dragon fruit.
and but the ironic thing is, and I'm going to give Kate a try of this, is that these older style are actually tastier. So it seems like Kate, that over the years the hybrids have gotten bigger and fancier and they look nicer and juicier, and they've got no spines on them, but they're actually not as tasty as, and so that's maybe sometimes when you go hybrid can be one of the setbacks.
Because they look fantastic on a fruit platter, but quite often, especially the white ones, you eat them and there's no sweet flavour. Maybe they're lower in fructose, maybe they're lower in the carbohydrates, or just maybe they've actually lost some of their flavour in when you sort of change varieties and hybridise them. But if these kind of things, I guess going back to, as Mother Nature put them together, maybe that was the way she wanted them to stay in some respects, but so I like the fact. So the modern ones, do they have all the spines?
No, a lot of the modern ones don't have any spines. This is the only one, the yellow dragon fruit with the spines.
Yeah.
That has these spines, and they're easy enough to get off. You just got to brush them off.
So how do the modern ones protect themselves from pests and insects?
Well, they don't.
There you go.
That's why this one is one of my favourites, because it's not only sweeter, tastes better, the critters, the possums and the fruit bats, they can't get to them because they're just too dangerous for them.
Yeah, those spines look really, really sharp.
And so they've got the self-protection, which is really great. The other ones get eaten by the crows, the birds, but unless you bag them, of course. You bag them and you might net the vine, but they're just susceptible to the rosellas. They come in as well. The parrots, they love them, but these ones never get touched. So let's cut it on.
So you must have one, well, this variety must be the one that's native to Central America.
Yeah, well, they originally came from that region, the Andes, Mexico.
That's beautiful.
Give you a closer look at it.
It's a lot juicier. than the actual ones that we get from a supermarket or like a grocery store.
Okay.
It's a lot juicier.
There's a spoon there. Have a crack at that.
Oh, I didn't know I was coming from. Situation? Are they in the ground, in pots, in a raised garden bed?
No, these are in the ground. They don't like wet feet, so they don't grow very well. They're a cactus. They're a strange thing. They're a cactus and they love water.
Yep.
Love lots of water. You'll get more fruit and a better vine if it's got lots of water, but it needs to be a sandy, free draining soil because they still have those cactus type roots and they don't like being sitting in damp ground or boggy ground.
Well, you can definitely see, like, I mean, I don't know whether the camera can pick this up, but that is just fluid pouring out of just my little half here. And with the amount of water that's fallen out of the sky here in Brisbane in the last month,
It's still hanging around.
it's still hanging around. That's why they look so beautiful. So again, you know, fruits, high vitamin C, B group vitamins, fibre, complex carbohydrates, that's the kind of thing you're looking for. But again, not every fruit is going to suit every gut. So again, you know, just pick the ones that you like. But I really do suggest try something new. I love getting people to kind of go, look, if you didn't like starfruit, or if you didn't like pomelo, or if you didn't like, you know, these things, it's important to increase the variety of fruits, vegetables and salads that you've tried, to see which ones you like, ones that you can also put in your garden.
We've got Nancy here. She's given us a super chat. Thanks for the wonderful Deerful channel mark. That's lovely. Thank you, Nancy. And what was it? Ronan, the Rock. He's had to leave us because his phone battery's running out. That's cool, mate. Watch the replay.
Sounds like me.
All right. So, yeah, that is interesting. The dragon fruit, in my opinion, the old style is better tasting. There you go. Then the newer varieties. The newer varieties are still good though. Don't let them put you off. And I'm sure they're developing more hybrids, especially using this one to try to get a spineless one that is also very tasty or tastier. Now I'm interested in pineapples. I was in Thailand years ago and we came across a plantation. They were selling on the side of the road. And I noticed that all of them over there are really tiny pineapples, smaller than this one here. I picked this one this morning, straight out of the garden. Yeah, it's a real treat, isn't it?
It is. I just went and picked one out of my garden. Said me never.
And I've got another one in there ready to be picked as well. And the reason I picked this one this morning is because I had one already picked with the top off, and I had it all sliced up, and I was going to give you a try of it. But I looked at it this morning. The boys ate it all through the night.
Thanks, guys.
So I had to pick another one. So I'm wondering, yeah, I reckon pineapples were probably tiny originally and then they bred them until you get these really big pineapples. This one's sort of an in-betweeny.
I wonder what they bred them with though. This is my, I've tried to look.
Well, I think just selection.
Right.
Find a bigger pineapple and just use that one until you get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And just keep selecting the crown from those types and splicing them and then you've got a big crop of bigger pineapples maybe.
So where do I find a crown? You're talking about a crown.
Yeah.
Like, where do I find that so I can grow my own?
Oh, well, I'll give you this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
watch this space. I'll come up with my big tub and my crown and a pineapple.
So you just chop it off there. Leave a little, about half an inch of the base. Now you don't have to put it in a glass of water and make it root or anything.
Yep.
In this climate especially, just stick it in a pot or stick it in the ground like this. And this juice here or this pulp will feed this for about 6 to 12 months at least.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And it'll grow roots out of that anyway.
Yep.
And so then you'll get another pineapple coming out of the top here.
Oh.
And you might even get a few pups come off that. And then before you know it, you've got 6 or 7 pineapples out of the one plant.
Oh, that's
And you just keep multiplying that in the garden. Or in pots or containers or whatever. Doesn't it smell good?
Oh, that is so sweet.
So, nutrition-wise,
yes.
Are pineapples good for us?
Pineapples are absolutely brilliant for vitamin C. So, there was a study that was done about a month ago. Here in Australia, we are the worst fruit, veggie, salad eaters in the whole of Australia, here in Brisbane. And in the last, I think it was like 5 years, we've actually had people admitted to our major teaching hospitals with scurvy. So that really kind of worries me, that means that that person, scurvy is a deficiency in vitamin C that was seen back in like Captain Cook's Endeavour days. So without vitamin C, and we only need 30 milligrams of vitamin C to saturate the cells, which is a couple of slices of pineapple or one orange. That will give you the vitamin C to saturate your cells. So the vitamin C is really important for our skin, for immune system, to help unlock iron from certain like iron sources that the iron needs a little bit of a boost to be absorbed in your body. So, and again, great fibre. I mean, you can chew it. Like when you're chewing it, it's just, there's roughage there. So you know that's going to go down and sweep your guts. So hopefully, again, you're not eating your breakfast or your dinner while I'm talking, but pineapples are good for you. Some people are sensitive to pineapples. I've got patients who say they get a really furry or swollen tongue. That's your body's way of saying stop eating this. And that's, again, you know, if you want to go and sort of see someone professionally, if you have a sensitivity, go and do that. But for the bulk of us, pineapples are absolutely brilliant. Can I have a try?
Yeah, go for it.
The one thing I'm really bad at is actually cutting fruits like pineapples, knowing how much skin to take off, how much to leave, then the spine in the centre or the core in the centre. But, you know, if someone does it for me, it's fantastic. I'm being a bit lazy. So again, there is no furry taste, there is no starchy taste, there is no, you know, sometimes you actually bite into a pineapple and you don't know when you buy it at the shops, because, you know, unfortunately we haven't grown any yet, but when you buy it at the shops, you don't know what you're getting until you actually cut into it. When you cut into it, it's all brown and you can see homegrown. Why is yours so beautiful and yellow and buttery, whereas some of them you cut into them from lovely fruit shops and they're all brown and you've got these big chunky bits of like hard sort of resiny bits inside.
Yeah, what happens is sometimes the farmers pick them a little too early and pineapples won't ripen off the plant.
Oh.
And you have to be quite cunning because pineapples these days, well, maybe for all time, don't necessarily turn yellow when they're ripe. You have to really wait for the stem to fall over, and then you've got to, you know, you can, if it is a pineapple that does go orange, well, that's great because it can give you more of a sign, but often they'll stay slightly green and still be ripe. So there's a fine line there. If you wait too long, they'll start to go rotten and ferment a bit and won't taste very nice. But the way to really tell is you wait till that stem falls over, and that's a really great sign, and give it a bit of a test, a bit of a wiggle, and it should freely come off. If it does, it's ripe. If it has a lot of tension, I would say just leave it for a while and it'll eventually break away or be very loose.
And you've hit on a point there as well. If you eat not readily ripened or slightly unripe fruits, vegetables, etc., you're going to get a bellyache. So I think some of these, you know, ripened on the vine, ready to go, they might suit your constitution better than actually getting something that's been picked. Unfortunately, look, when we do buy from supermarkets and fruit shops and things, you know, those things have been picked a number of days prior, trucked into certain areas, possibly stored for a little bit to be put on the actual shelves ready for us to pick and then at least last in our homes for a few days. Whereas if you actually pick them readily ripe, they'll probably have started to go off on the shelves. So we're kind of in a bit of a catch-22. You know, we only want to shop once a week. We want to have things that last in our fridges, etc. So we don't have that luxury of being able to have freshly picked, ready to eat then and there, unless you go to a specific like fruit shop that has picked them that morning and is selling them that day and you're using them that day.
Yeah.
Which I think is lovely, because this is just lovely. You're probably seeing the common theme for me is I come in here and just eat everything as I'm moving around. This food is beautiful.
So how about the obvious thing that modern fruit has grown bigger and juicier and tastier, not necessarily changed its nutritional value, but let's take oranges for example. This is a an orange, it's actually a bit ripening too early. Our oranges usually ripen another couple of months through winter here, which is good timing to have citrus ripening through winter. But then you get into the orange juice thing, and so I'm guessing there's a bit of a problem nutrition-wise of people can overindulge in the fruit, and maybe, you know, get 4 oranges at once with a glass of orange juice instead of maybe 1 or 2 if they just eat them normally and get the fibre with it.
Exactly. Well, it's like an orange produces about 75 mils of juice. So a 300 ml glass, or like a medium glass, that is 4 oranges. But you haven't got the benefit of all that beautiful fibre that you're eating when you're having the pith. And I mean, obviously not the skin, but I think when we sort of start to buy bigger oranges, and yes, they are some of the Valencia oranges and some of the other other varieties that possibly will start arriving on our shelves here because we're about to move into winter, despite what it looks like. When you start juicing those larger ones, you're just consuming a lot more fructose and glucose coming from your fruit. So we've just got to be careful not to overdo it. So I always say to people, look, chill your orange down, peel it, eat it as slices of orange rather than trying to juice it all the time. Or if you are juicing your orange, maybe sort of 1 orange with some ice and some icy cold water just to give you that fresh vitamin C straight from the orange, and not overdoing it. And young kids, probably they're the ones that we're targeting more, to just not consume so much juice but actually eat the fruit.
Yeah, there's no way you could overdo, say, one of these. So these are the original native limes here in Australia, and you squeeze that out and you've got all that caviar like.
This is, and these are the native ones, which were, our First Nations people used them for flavouring. They also used them, they squashed the little pearls and used it as a bit of an antibiotic, like a cleansing sort of astringent on cuts and sores, and it actually worked well due to its very high vitamin C content. So these go beautifully on fish. You can put them in sauces, you can put them in some like icy cold drinks, and they are just superb.
Well, just pop in your mouth.
They are. They are like they're fruit caviar. Again, I find these very hard to grow. I've bought a couple of like bushes and they just die on me. So what am I doing wrong?
The actual native limes,
yeah,
you might have planted them in, they don't like wet feet either.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Testing. No, it's not that mucking it up. It's, yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, so they are a native, so they should grow well in our climate. But of course, they actually can grow in a forest as long as it's got good free draining soil. Otherwise they will die. They're better off planted in a dry location and then give them a bit of water occasionally than planted in a very boggy type place or place that gets extra water.
Yeah, because I would have assumed they'd love the water because of the little, little spears of liquid. These are absolutely fantastic to freeze. So, if you're using them on some seafood, you can freeze them in a little dish, and then once they come out, because they're high water content, they actually hold their form really, really well, and they can freeze for months and months and months. So again, a very high vitamin C content coming from these beautiful little things.
Have you seen that gin that's got...
Well, last time I said, do you know what I was just about to say? It's a Friday, and Friday afternoon, for those who do enjoy just a little tipple, a gin and tonic with this and a piece of like lemon in there is just so, it's indulgent and it's refreshing.
There's an Australian gin that they've infused the native lime little pebbles, little bubbles, little caviar in with the gin.
Oh,
and
wow.
So it's like a snow thing.
It's like a snow globe.
Yeah.
Well, it'd have that lovely lemony taste, and I think it's you can use it in so many different ways.
This is what I like about Kate, is that she's not one of those dietitians that scold you for having a little bit of a good time.
No.
I've had plenty of good time. We've had some really great dinner parties, I tell you. But but it's about practical eating, and you're the old school type of dietitian that understands that people want to have a bit of fun too, as long as they don't constantly overindulge.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and it's not just with alcohol, is it? It's like the example we gave. Maybe don't have 2 glasses of orange juice.
Yes.
Maybe just have one occasionally, and eat an orange instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm all for. I think that when people walk away from my clinics, they say, "Thank you for making me not feel guilty about my guilty pleasures. Thank you for helping me." Accommodate the things that I enjoy to get the best out of my body. And I think that anything that is branded we shouldn't be doing, and sometimes for some people makes them move towards that more. And whenever I'm speaking to people, they always drop their voice when they say, well, I have a little bit of chocolate, or I have a glass of wine. And I go, why are you dropping your voice? That's fine. And they say to me, don't you feel nervous when you go out and people can see what you're doing? No, I'm a real person. I'm a 56-year-old woman who is enjoying life, but getting the best out of life and nourishing my body, but also still balancing. Something nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we are human, and if you restrict yourself in any of those areas beyond ridiculous, of only, say, eating one thing when you actually do love a bit of fruit. Say you might, just for losing weight's sake, go on the carnivore diet, and you don't even like meat that much or too much of it, and it clogs you up. You stick on that, you're going to be unhappy. So I just look at the practical side of it. Eat everything in moderation. They found, the Iceman? Have you heard of that story?
No.
Found in the mountains in Europe, 5,000 years old. He was pretty much well preserved in the ice.
Wow.
In his stomach, they found grains. So 5,000 years ago, they were farming or eating grass grains, grains for food. That was one of the things they found. They found goat in his stomach, and they found a bunch of berries and different types of fruits. So he had an omnivore diet. He was eating all sorts of things. And, obviously he was pretty fit going through the mountains there until someone shot him with an arrow, but poor bugger.
I'm not laughing at that, but it is. You come to a fairly quick end.
Yeah.
But look, and without getting too airy-fairy and into kind of what's your purpose in life, there is like a Netflix series at the moment. It's called Living to 100, and it's the blue zones around the world. And I think I might have mentioned these before.
Yeah, last time. Yeah.
You're a bit of a blue zone man here, to be completely honest, because the things I picked up was exercise, like they do a lot of running around. That's why I've been standing here like a princess, whereas you've been running backwards and forwards. That's why you're sweating and your heart rate's up. So doing exercise and some sort of like lifting, especially the Okinawans, and they actually garden and they walk long distances. They're socially connected, but they enjoy a little bit of sake. They love their purple sweet potato. That's kind of a key feature for them. The Sardinians, which from my background of Italy, they do 90 flights of stairs a day just in their walking from their villages up to the top to kind of meet. But they are socially connected, and one might have been a Japanese lady or a Sardinian lady said, I'd never get angry, and I think if we're, just trying to be happy, healthy, exercise a bit, do something nice for someone else, friendship, that kind of thing is just really, really important. And, gardening, I think gardening was the key feature in just about all the blue zones, not necessarily just veggies and fruits like you have here, but also tending to floral gardens and botanicals and those kinds of things. So, I'm going to call you Mr. Blue.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope I'll live to 100.
Yeah, well, I won't be there.
But, well, yeah, I watched that series as well. Now, I think there are the critics of the series, but the critics, what I've seen is they pull out like, oh, yeah, eating sweet potato makes you live to 100, and no, it doesn't. That's not right. And they also eat meat, but that's not the argument. I don't think the series made that argument that you just eat sweet potato, you live to 100. It's that combination of lifestyle, of being happy as well, being happy, and there's more and more evidence of gut health making your mind happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And helping you to be happier. depending on
Lifting the
how
fork.
you're eating.
Yeah.
And I think that is adds to my point of eating a range of foods so that you have that scope in your guts of different things to eat that we were meant to, grazing on things in the forest, berries, and then catching a rabbit or whatever. I mean, I think that just holistic thing in moderation is the best thing, not just sticking with one thing or eating too much of another. We know that that isn't good for us. Even eating too much fruit. We've got some star fruit over there. I didn't bring any over, I forgot. But eating too much star fruit, for example, and juicing it can be bad for your kidneys.
For your kidneys, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So some foods heal and some foods do harm. Absolutely. And you've just got to listen to people with their symptoms
And
as
eat
well.
in moderation.
And eat in moderation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without sort of gluttoning down on things.
Yeah.
I think that's the key, the moderation key.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm trying every day to be that, but I'm failing.
You're
but,
not. You see, this is now.
But
we're going to go off on.
Yeah, no, let's not go. Let's go back on the fruit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, look, see this one here. This is a hybrid. This is a native lime crossed with a kumquat, and
wow.
the CSIRO has crossed it. The tree's just over there behind us, and it's an interesting thing because it does have some seeds in it. But I've washed it. Have a bite on it and eat it just a little bit with the skin as well as some of the pulp in the middle.
See, that to me looks like it's citrus skin. So I'm
Yeah.
about to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
A lot less bitter than I thought.
Yeah.
So there's actually no bitter.
No.
Actually, that's really refreshing. So CSIRO, well, see, that's actually got those little sort of almost
nearly there. It's,
so what would you use these for?
it's called a sunrise lime.
A sunrise lime.
Yeah.
So is it for drying? Is it for cooking? Is it for like
Yeah,
on
everything.
fish?
Yeah, cooking. Yeah, you can slice it up fine, put it on hors d'oeuvres, whatever you want to do. Eat it fresh like this.
In salads with some dressing and things?
So what about the skin? Is the skin good for us?
Well, you know, the orange skin is not.
It's
not.
not.
Toxic. It is absolutely toxic. If you,
Oh my God, what have
Lovely
we
to be-
done?
Nice to be here. I'll be driving home and slumped over my wheel. Thanks, Marky. But obviously, if CSIRO, which is a big governing body here in Australia, which has deemed these safe to eat, and that's how you're meant to eat them, I'm sure they're not going to send me into a pine box. But again, it's vibrancy, but it's not like eating. I could not bite into a lemon, lime, or an orange skin. So, very, very nice. Do we have any questions? Does anyone have any questions about either how to grow them, why to grow them? Have you had any success in some of the hybrid types of fruits? Have you had any failures? Have you had things that you've tried to grow and they look fantastic but taste horrible? You know, it's always nice to actually get some. I like when people start talking amongst themselves in these live streams. But that's good. That's really, really good. So, you had some nuts?
Yeah. Well, these are the pecans. They're not ripe yet,
Right.
but they've just been thrown off the tree by the cockatoos.
Oh, good.
So the cockatoos come in, usually early morning. I've put bags and I've put flags and I even just throw things in the tree because sometimes it deters them. But unfortunately, they still keep coming back, and now that they know that there's a pecan tree here, they wait till you're gone and throw them on the ground. I've got to do the same thing as a lot of these other trees. Those trees that get targeted by animals, not necessarily our citrus, but other trees, we need to keep them smaller so that we can net them properly or bag the fruit so that the animals can't get to it. But I was wondering, like, you know, like the dragon fruit, for example, that one there coming from possibly Mexico, the Andes, hasn't changed a lot in that time. This thing here, the pecan comes from America.
Yeah, North America.
You know, the Indians would have been probably not farming it, but eating it the way it is. I don't think it's changed a lot over the years.
So, I mean, it's rich in a B group vitamin, B1. It's also got zinc. So it's got it's one of the few foods outside of like fish and meat, etc., to have like a high zinc level, like legumes do, and some really, really healthy fats. So, you know, this is probably the North Americans used it as a bit of a fat maybe to cook with, maybe blending it down to cook with, but also they didn't realise that we need these good fats to transport vitamin D from the sun, vitamin A, vitamin E and vitamin K around in our bodies, like, you know, to help with blood clotting, etc. as well. So, you know, again, pecan trees here, there would have to be some sort of hybrid. They possibly might have been bigger than what they originally the size was in North America. How do you know, though, when that's ripe on the tree? Like, obviously that's been thrown by the cocky, but...
Yeah, they'll open up.
Oh.
They'll open up and they'll then drop the seed that's inside of it, which
Right.
is that hard husk.
And then you've got to break the seed.
Yeah, and you break that.
Yep.
And often you just leave them until they're all ripe and they fall on the ground and then pick them up off the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a bit similar to a macadamia.
Okay.
And that the sort of older they get, the sort of better they get.
Yeah. Wonderful. Because I'm looking at, like, I was talking about some foods before, and people, you know, right around the world would know this term called FODMAP. And it seems to, when you were talking about the gut before, something's happened. Something's happened with our guts, just with food, antibiotics, sicknesses, COVID, influenzas, change in diets, restriction, overconsumption, processed food, whatever it might be. And it's probably multifactorial. But I'm seeing a lot more people coming in with gut health issues and much younger as well. So there is a line of thought that, you know, an over-fermented product in your colon can give people pain and gut issues. And I'm looking at most of your, like, limes are not a fermentable, your oranges are not a fermentable, pecans are not a fermentable, bananas in a nice sort of not overripe are not a fermentable. But I can see, is that a fig?
No, that's a mini pomegranate.
Oh, that's a pomegranate.
Sorry, I meant to grab some figs as well.
That's all right.
Because I know we wanted to talk about them, because that being another ancient thing that they had in the biblical days hasn't really changed a lot over the years either. By the way, Lisa asked just a quick question. How many servings of fruit do you recommend a day for someone like my size?
Look, the recommendations comes from like lots and lots of research, and I know people are going to go, what? But it's 2 standard pieces of fruit a day we're trying to recommend here in Australia. Some people can eat more, especially if you've got, you know, sort of a healthy, fit body that you're doing a lot of exercise and you want to have a banana before a run, or a banana or like a piece of fruit after a run. But we do recommend 2 serves of fruit, and that's what fits nice and neatly into your palm-sized hand. And 5+ servings of vegetables. So that's, we call that our 2 and 5. And some people would say to me, Kate, have you had a head knock? We are living in Brisbane here with an abundance of fruit. Again, just making sure that, you know, if you're healthy and fit, go have a little bit more, see how you feel. But if you sort of, we have a high sort of risk of diabetes here in the Western world. People are trying to kind of just watch their waistline as well. So again, 2 pieces of fruit, and make them yummy pieces of fruit. Absolutely. Some berries, you know, in a smoothie in the morning, a piece of chopped up fruit during the day. If you want to kind of portion it out to sort of 3 or 4 portions, just watch the serving sizes, that's all. I know I sound like a little bit of a, you know, a droll talking about like restricting our fruits, but again, it's what the recommendations are. We need to eat a lot more veggies and salads for that fibre, and pulling back a little bit on fruit because we were consuming too much.
Yeah, apologies again for the sound. I understand it's low apparently. I've checked all our settings and it's actually showing that it's fine. So there's something that I don't know what's going on, and I'm going to have to find that out. Mandy, there's no quick way I can just increase the sound. Mandy's on the stream. Mandy looks after our forum at selfsufficientculture.com. It's a forum that I've had for years now, and she takes care of that for us, and she also does some moderation here.
Yes.
But yeah, I've had a look. I kept on brainstorming while we've been doing this. I think the best thing is that we'll just punch through for, you know, another 5 minutes or so, and have our hour online, and then I'll go through and I'll try to sort out what has gone wrong. I'm thinking that there's some type of problem, some sync between the microphone and the camera setup, some problem there. And I don't know how that's happened because it's exactly the same setup as we had last time. And I can see through the meterage that both of these mics are working actually quite well, and they're actually going fairly high. So I don't want to try to adjust settings on the fly and then stuff things up even further. So we'll just push through for now. At the end of the day, that's live streaming for you, especially in the backyard. I really love being in the backyard, even though it's humid and I'm hot and sweaty and we got the elements. I like the setting, I like the feeling. I don't like a studio for this type of live stream. That's not what I want. So I'm going to be susceptible to these types of problems. And even the past with my live streams, it's been raining, I've had wind blowing, I've had all sorts of problems. Yes, it disappoints me, but it's not going to kill me. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just appreciating that you guys are sticking with us, most of you, and appreciating that we're trying our best.
Yeah.
But so thank you very much for that. I suppose the last thing I guess I wouldn't mind talking about is, what are you looking at? Oh, some of the questions.
Some of the questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was going to ask you about the pith in these things, especially the citron, because the citron, it's basically all pith.
Yeah. I wouldn't eat it.
No.
I think there's sometimes, and I think that's probably why the citron has moved down to a lovely little, very, very thin-skinned lemon, because of that very reason. And that pith can actually make people feel a bit uncomfortable in the stomach as well. And, you know, the citrons unfortunately just don't have a lot of juice, do they?
No, they don't. And the pomelo has a lot of pith too, and they do cook up the pith.
Right.
So I'm sort of asking, they'll cook it up, especially in Asian countries, and sort of eat it like, I don't know what it might look like, a tofu. I've never tried it.
Yeah.
But maybe it just takes on, maybe there's not a lot of flavour, but is there something in the pith that could be, they're putting you on the spot here.
No, look, all I'm thinking was that there was something that happened a number of years ago. It was a doctor went to go and get some food at the hospital's canteen, and a lot of people ate this same thing, and it had red kidney beans in them, but I don't think the red kidney beans were cooked well enough. And so the theory was these are called lectins, basically had, there was still a large percentage of that in these red kidney beans at the time. And this poor gentleman, this poor doctor was vomiting everywhere, and about 10, 15 other people who ate the same, like chili con carne, were vomiting because it was uncooked portions of these red kidney beans. So a lot of times you can actually, when you cook out things, the heat destroys or breaks things down for you. I know there's something called oral allergy syndrome, and I've seen it happen. I've seen a patient come in and their face is completely swollen because they've eaten something like a kiwi or a strawberry, and what the body thinks is it's still the pollen. So they've actually got an allergy to the pollen, but once you actually swallow it and it goes down to gastric acid, the swelling goes down. But you can actually denature, or you can kill off that kind of pollen that pollen sort of the protein that's actually there in the fruit by heating it. So if you actually cook these fruits, people can eat them even if they're actually sensitive to them. So, you know, maybe cooking down the pith into something makes it a little easier to digest. That's my perception, and only my perception, really.
Okay, and now I did want to cover figs, even though I haven't got any here at the moment. Have you got any points on figs?
I mean, figs, you really have to cover them because the birds love them. Across the road, we've got an Italian family, and they've got these beautiful fig trees, and they're covered in netting. Figs are beautiful. They're one of the fruits that is quite high in calcium, believe it or not, the dried figs. Again, very high in fibre, but a very fermentable food. So people eat them, and if you eat too much of them, you really will get a lot of wind. But B group vitamins and definitely some calcium. And
figs would not have changed that much since biblical times.
Yes, absolutely. They were.
Adam wore a fig leaf over his tackle. You know,
I knew we would.
thank goodness he did that.
Yes, exactly.
But-
And the fig leaf was quite big then.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
the fig leaves have actually gotten a bit smaller. So maybe that's telling us something. There we
There we go. I'll put it over my guts.
So exactly. So, I mean, some things have stood the test of time and they're still in pretty much the same size and they haven't had to develop into something else.
Yeah, so modern figs would be about the same nutritional value as the olden day ones.
I would assume, but again,
Yeah.
if a food technologist is out there, you know, correct me if I'm wrong.
And you're thinking if we eat too many, say, dried figs, because I could,
Oh, dear.
because they are
Oh.
delicious, especially if you have them in a cereal or something like that. But I just like snacking on them. They can ferment in your stomach a bit, can they?
Well, I always say to people, if you're about to hop on a 20-hour long-haul flight, do not get stuck into the figs, the prunes, the dried fruit, you know, some of these fermentable things, because you're not going to be a very nice traveller to be next to in that long flight.
Okay, cool.
So the air hosties do say on there, there's a flight that's just started here in Australia, which is 21 hours or something to London. When they open that door in Heathrow, the smell is something to behold. I know, we always get back onto the guts too,
Oh,
don't we?
Yeah, we do. I love guts talk.
Oh, but you know, a healthy gut's a happy gut
Yeah, and
So-
a happy person.
and a happy.
Well, on that note, Kate, I think we might cut it there. Hey?
Beautiful.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks a lot for our conversation on the different fruits. Sorry again for the sound issues. We'll have that fixed up. We're going to keep pushing through on this idea of bringing it live from the outdoors here, and I'm not going to give up on it, that's for sure. And your contact details or your socials?
Yes, well, it's Kate Diprima APD. So that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. So, you know, if anyone wants to have a chat to me, I do a lot of telehealth, especially with those people with intolerances. So we do sort of FaceTime and GP consults over the phone and via internet. So thank you so much for having me. I really love jumping in on Marky's kind of live streams, and thank you for not sort of, you know, being too harsh on me. That I love it. I enjoy it, and if I can impart some of my skill set to help people, well, that's my kind of go-to, and that's my purpose, my ikigai.
Cool. Thanks, Kate. No, I really do appreciate it. We're going to keep with these. I really do love our chats. We're getting more and more sort of familiar, even though we're having some technical problems. We're getting, I think, a little bit better at the stream, and we'll just keep going and fixing them up as we go. So I appreciate you guys sticking with us today. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now then. Cheers. And stream.